All right, so we've got kind of the basic shape here. We need to smooth it out and then add some of the details and things necessary in order for the character to deform, or the hand to deform. So what I want to do is actually want to slide these edge loops, because right now, if we were to turn this on, you'll see how it's very flat, okay? And the reason for that is if we go into here, you'll see is that these edges are really tight. And when you have really tight edges, it creates a tighter a crease, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to hit 2. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to grab this just so you can see. Don't do this yet. I'm going to go to the Slide Edge tool, and you'll notice that when I slide it over, see how this becomes roundish, okay? As opposed to if we were to slide it back, you'll see it becomes even tighter, okay? So that's what we're going to do next. Let's turn that off. Okay, so I'm just going to hold Alt, and we're more or less just going to try and make these evenly spaced. So I'm just going to go here like that. We're going to hold Alt, click on this, and put this one in here to try and make this even. And you'll see why in a second once we smooth this out. So go like that. I'm holding Alt to grab the loop, Alt and click, and like that. And then we'll Alt and click, drag this way, Alt click, drag that way, Alt click. Okay, and the thumb's already even because of the way we did it before. All right, so now I'm going to smooth this out. So there's 2 ways of smoothing. You can figure out which one works best for you. I'm just going to hit A to select all. I'm just going to go to regular select here. And you'll see underneath vertex, there's smooth vertices and smooth elaboration. Now, this one's kind of interesting, but what it does is I notice it'll keep some things absolutely flat. And instead of typically when you subdivide a surface or smooth, you lose volume. This one actually increases. So what? I'm going to click on it once. I don't know if you noticed it went up. I'm going to hit Shift R to repeat the action. See how it gets longer and slender, and it almost like inverts the fingers instead. So kind of a strange, I could see that one being useful. That's why I wanted to show you what that one does. But in our case, we're just going to go to the vertex. We're just going to go to regular smooth vertices. And you can hit Shift R if you want to do multiples. I think probably one's good enough. That'll give us a little bit of smoothness without having to do a whole bunch of work. Okay, so from here, to be frank, what I would honestly do is I would, like I'd grab this loop and then see how it's like really flat. I'd probably like just move it over, then like take this and like move this way. And I would start to just manually more or less shape it myself. But it would take a little bit of work, all right? So, and you could also use the sculpting tools and such, because you could see like, you know, this should be more down, right, to make a thumb shape. So I would do that. I would do that before the next thing we do here, but I just want you to, you know, be aware. I'm going to make sure that these edges are like about halfway. They feel a little bit, I don't know if it's because of the smoothing, but they feel too far out now. So I'm going to go back to that slide edge, and I'm going to hold Alt, make sure I'm on 2 here for edge mode. And I'm just going to slide this to make sure it's about half on both sides. So, yeah, like that. This one's quite a bit off, like that. Okay, so this is obviously where my knuckles are going to be, right? So we have our first knuckle, we have our second knuckle, and then there's actually a third knuckle, which I don't currently have. So we're going to add that too. So just hit Control R, click, and then I'm going to put it, we'll say here, okay? That's fine. We're going to hit Control R, and again, I'm going to click it and put that towards the back. Control R, click, put it towards the back here. Control R, click, and put it here, okay? So again, look at your hands, use those as a reference. I'm just trying to get my other knuckled areas in there, okay? Now you're going to notice that if you look again at what your hands are, you're not going to see like a bend typically where these are. Just these ones will be the main benders, so we don't have to go through and bend these down. I mean, you could put a little if you wanted, but I don't think it's really necessary. Now, before we carry on with the next bit, I just want to show you some reference, just so you know where we're going with this. Okay, let me click off. So if you look here, these both have different options as far as the knuckles are concerned. I'm going to show you this one first.
What you're going to see is the thumb actually illustrates this well, but all the fingers have this. So notice that right here, see how on this side it's just one edge, but then it spreads out for these knuckles. And you can see on the thumb here because it's a little bit larger. The reason why that is that we need edge loops in order to fan out. Like when this bends, right, I need these edges so that they can spread out as the phalange curls, right, as it flexes. This is never going to hyperextend. It only goes to a full extension. Your finger only goes straight. It doesn't go past straight. So you don't need edges on this side to support that other direction. So even when we did like, I don't know if we'd added the extra edges or not, but with a larger area, it's fine to add those. But you know, this is such a small area. We're going to make a point to try and not do that as much. Now, if we look over here, they did something. Oh, not this one. Sorry, that's the same one. If you look at this one, you'll see they did something similar, but they actually were able to maintain quads. This is actually a little lower poly than ours is. So we're going to do something just slightly different, kind of halfway between the two. So go back here. And what I want you to do is, if you recall, we have this center line, right? This is running the center through my fingers. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold control and click on this. So basically, I get the top half, not the bottom half of our edges. Okay, we're going to do that. And we'll just, can we do all of them? Control and shift. Yeah, see, I think we'll just do those. I'm going to click on this. We're going to hit Control B to do bevel. And I'm just going to spread out to roughly the thickness of this knuckle. So we'll say, oh, actually, you know what? Let's undo that real quick. I want to add another edge loop in between. The reason being is you'll see after we do this knuckle, the edges won't go across, which is kind of annoying. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just put ones halfway between each of these so we have them for modeling purposes. So halfway between all of them. Sorry, I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about it. I wasn't thinking about the fact that it's going to be annoying to do afterwards. Okay, so I'm just putting halfway between where our knuckles would be. Okay, and I guess up here too. Okay, all right, so now we can do it. So from here, I'm going to hold Control to here. We're going to grab those. Then you're going to hit Control B, and we're going to slide this out to roughly the size of the knuckle, okay? Now you're going to see it results in a triangle here. Now, if you recall how we fixed this before, we're just literally going to hit Control R and put an edge loop right in there. And voila. And then what we'll do is we'll just take this and we're just going to move it up. And you see, we now have sort of a knuckle shape. And it's all quads. And this will support a nice flexion. And there'll be more edges on the top to help support that shape. And we can do the same thing here as well. So I would just go here to here. Oops, forgot to hold Control. Like, there, hitting the wrong button. Control, there we go. Hit Control B, slide that out, right? Hit Control R, and then we're just going to move that up a little bit. Not too crazy, because this one doesn't have a crazy amount of knuckles. And voila. And then we're just going to take the ones that we already have here. I'm going to hold Alt, and then I'm just going to click S and squeeze that a little bit, right? So there's a little bit of a more thinness to that one. Maybe actually take these bottom ones and just like pull those down a little bit so there's more of that kind of pad. And hold Alt, and then maybe we can just move this down a little bit so we have that kind of a shape. Oops, I'm just going to work on this one finger so you get the rough idea of what it should look like. Then we'll take this, and I'm just going to kind of move this up, and then we'll take this, and then we'll just kind of move this like that. And then let's just do one. And I'm just going to scale these in a little bit. Maybe scale these in a little bit more too. Let's undo that. I'm just going to hit Shift Z, grab all of these, and S and X, and just scale that in a little bit, just so it's a little bit more round. Okay. And let's also, we're going to take this, and I'm just going to move it up and rotate it a little bit. And then this all looks really kind of stiff. So I'm going to hit 2. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold Control, click on here. And then we're just going to do G. And I'm just going to kind of pull this in a little bit. Let's grab here. Let's hold Alt. Actually, let's leave the knuckle one alone. We'll go from here to here. And I'll just do G and just kind of pull that in a little bit. We're going to grab from here to here. And we'll do G and pull that one in a little bit.
here to, let's say, here, and G, pull that one in. Okay. And oops. Okay. Stop it. There we go. And now you can see we're starting to shape out a finger, right? So hopefully you can kind of see that, and we have the geometry to support that. We have a kind of decision here that we could make. We could either just put this more in the middle so that it's more supporting, because if you look, it's kind of similar to what we have here. We could also leave it where it is and just put in another edge loop and then use that as use that as like another point of flexion. It's kind of up to you what you want to do with that. But yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. So you're going to want to basically go through and just sort of shape all these. And then when you're done, or even before you're done, we can actually take these faces and get rid of them. So I'm going to hit 3, and you can see I end up with 4. I'm going to hit S and O. Oh, it doesn't let me do it yet. Let's hit O first. We'll hit S. And then I want to do Z. I'm just going to make this a little bit wider, like so. All right. And then let's do this. I'm going to hit E and Z just to make sure, or I'm sorry, Y. Make sure it's straight, like that. And then let's basically shape this. I'm going to hit 1, and let's just take this and move that. Let's hit O to get rid of that. Okay, so G and Z, and move that down, and you can just do it manually. So we'll just going to move these around just to make this basically rounder, like so. Okay, then we're gonna I'm just gonna get rid of these faces, and we'll just hit delete, and you can delete the faces. And basically this will be the hole, or this will be what we stick in the arm. Let's also, I'm gonna hold Alt, grab this. I'm gonna hit S, then we're gonna hit Y, and we're just gonna flatten it. So if you scale perpendicular, it will flatten the thing there. And now you can see we have that. Now this needs a lot more work because I got to put all those different pieces in. But notice that we're able to put quite a bit of density in our fingers, right? And it goes to only 8, which is perfect. We can put that right into the body. So we're able to maintain a relatively low poly hand. I mean, the actual hand itself is not that low poly, but we're able to go into a relatively low poly wrist. So now we can actually directly stick this into the arm. Now, you might look at this and be like, oh, this isn't that great at geometry. And I'm not going to say that it is. But my goal was to make it simple, that would be easy to follow, and that you would have 8 edge loops that would go directly into the hand, or into the arm. It is possible, and actually more likely, that you would actually keep it separate because it's different material than, let's say, if they're wearing a long sleeve shirt. But if you have a character and let's say they are not wearing a shirt, right, or they have their whole arm, you would need to be able to have it go into a much lower poly thing. If instead I only needed to have, or I could have like 12 or 16 edges in here, I would model the hand differently. I wouldn't do it the way that we did, but I'm trying to make it so that it would result in this amount. And so that's why we ended up where we are. Because some of this is actually pretty dense considering, and then this feels a little broad, and I would want to change these edge loops a little bit. Like, it'd be better if this thumb was more integrated, but to get kind of the bare bones, this should work for most characters. This is one of those things as well. So I had a friend, when I very first started getting into this field, I had a friend, and I was more in rigging is my area of expertise when I first started. And he was a modeler. That's what he did. And he did a lot of freelance work. And he modeled a hand once, and he used that hand for all of his characters. So he would take that hand, and he just kept it a separate file, and he would just adjust it and change it for all of his things, because the hands are such a complicated, annoying thing to model. And so this is actually, and you might think like that's cheating, but that's actually really common. A lot of times what companies will do is they'll have, like, everything's networked together. So like particularly like game studios do this. They'll have hands that are modeled, and then people will stick them together. And they do this with all sorts of modeling. I don't know if you ever heard of kit bashing. Kit bashing is a process by which it's an old school term where you would take model kits like a model car and a model plane and model tanks, and you wouldn't actually build the models that were in the instructions. You would just take all those pieces and instead make something new out of them, like a cool spaceship or something. In fact, that's how they used to do most of the special effects miniatures you would see for like Star Wars or Star Trek. Those are just made out of model kits. And we still kind of do the same thing even within 3D modeling. So occasionally you'll build things that you will then take and repurpose and change and do so on and so forth. Simple things like you could model like a screw or a bolt or whatever, and then just keep all these files of all these different like plates and rivets and all sorts of stuff and wheels and treads, and then you can just grab those, and if you need to quickly make like some sort of vehicle, you can just grab those pieces and build it out that way. So if you do a really nice job on this hand and you keep it a separate file, you could potentially use this on later models, so you don't have to build it from the beginning again. I don't necessarily suggest that at this moment in your career because you're still trying to learn. You'd be better served modeling it new every time so that you follow a tutorial or learn a new process. But once you get to more of an intermediate to advanced, that's probably what you would do. You wouldn't reinvent the wheel over and over again. Hopefully you're able to follow this. Sorry for the rant, but I'm trying to, give you some extra information. So once you're done, you can send me the whole file, or if you want to, or like all of the model together, or if you want to send me just the hand, that's fine as well. Obviously, make any adjustments to the hand you need to do for your own.